Welcome back, guys. It's Kibla Ahmed Art for the Brothers Geek Out podcast. I want to say a massive thank you to Reisha for joining us, who's TriniphoTOYgraper. I got to get that right.
TriniphoTOYgraper.
TriniphoTOYgraper. That's right. TOYgraper. Okay, you know what? Look at that. See, that's an awesome name as well. But guys, massive thank you again for always joining in on the podcast. I want to say we're on all streaming platforms. So if you watch us on YouTube and if you're on a commute, you could always check us on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud. There's so many, guys. There's loads there. And then make sure you follow us on our social media networks as well, the Brothers Geek Out podcast. And today's episode is going to be a Geek Out session with Reisha, and we're going to be talking about her passions and how she got into what she is doing, and general life stuff as well, guys. We're going to geek out. We're going to talk about movies, comic books, toys. We're going to talk about all sorts. But I'm going to start off with, we've been following each other on TikTok for a little while now, and I love this community on TikTok at the moment. And how did you get into your toy photography?
Well, so I am primarily a doctor by profession. That's what I do. And I started my toy photography, I would say about 4 years ago. No, now it'll be about 6 years ago. Time has flown. And it mainly started because I enjoy photography, regular, nature and whatnot. But I always collected little action figures, not much, not like how I collect now, but I used to collect a couple action figures, and I wanted to just kind of test out my photography skills using the action figures. And somewhere along the line on Instagram, I stumbled across the toy photography community, and things just kind of snowballed from there. It just went downhill or uphill. It depends on how you look at it.
Uphill. Because I can understand having a bit of creativeness inside you, kind of. When you have a passion in the content that we already get when it comes to the type of action. What was the action figures you were collecting at the time before you went into this?
So at the time, one of the first action figures I had was a Joker. It was actually a McFarlane Joker. The one with the long trench coat. I'm not sure exactly the name of him. He had like a white shirt, a long trench coat. A really nice figure, actually. And I had that. I had a couple of Batman figures. So I actually started off with Batman figures primarily, like most people probably, I suppose. And then I got the Dark Knights, the set that they had. I had that set and it broke, unfortunately. But and that was way before when I realized that people could fix toys. So
that's right.
So I had those, and then I don't know, I just kind of stumbled across more and more toys and got into Funko Pops. Now I basically collect anything, from Lego to Funko Pops to Marvel Legends to NECA. It's too much, and so many good figures now. So
that's right. I'm going back to like the early 80s and 90s, comparing to the type of products we get now. Like it's just amazing, like how good and quality they are. Like I'm loving the Todd McFarlane series at the moment now. And I've always collected like Hot Toys and maybe some of the Marvel Legends, like Marvel stuff. But Todd McFarlane toys at the moment now, it's like, oh no, I'm building a little collection.
They're very affordable too. So that's right. Always, they're affordable, and they have good sculpts, So at the end of the day, they do make for very good toy photos. The posability, not always great, but I mean they make good figures to just take pictures of, and it's also characters we never got before.
That's right.
Before we used to get the standards, Batman, okay, but now we're getting all the little variations, and from all the multiverses. Is great. It's great.
We do. What was the first comic book character that kind of you looked at and said, I've got a bit of reliability with it, like you see yourself in this character? Which one was it?
Seeing myself in a character. I don't feel like I ever came across any that it would probably have to be some manga, but that would have to be like Naruto. You know, I feel Naruto, you know, the hope and the drive to be better.
That's right.
A lot of the comic books I tend to read tend to be darker.
Okay.
So I tend to read the DC comics and the Batmans and I especially enjoy reading Joker. So no, I definitely should not see myself in Joker. I hope not. I appreciate the brilliance in Joker, you know, but I mean the problem is the comics I like reading are not necessarily the people that I relate to the best. I think I just like reading about the characters that I do not understand the best, that I cannot put myself in their shoes, and it's like, wow, how did you come up with this? Okay, all right, no problem. But I think recently I realized how much I enjoyed reading Joker when I looked through my collection and realized that I had a lot of standalone Joker books and whatnot, and I was like, okay, I do like Batman more. My son likes the bigger toys, so he goes after my Hulk and he goes after the bigger toys, and he comes and I think he really likes his Stormtroopers, even though he hasn't seen any of the movies or any of those things. He way too young, but he goes after the Stormtrooper for some reason, the Heavy Mandalorian and my Hulk, the Red Hulk, especially. I think the size of it, and I don't mind because it's an extremely sturdy character. So go ahead.
They are. Your photography skills, was it something that you picked up along the way, or did you study some photography?
No, like I said, I did medicine. So I literally, everything I learned, I can happily say I learned from YouTube.
Oh, wow, cool.
I am a YouTube learner. So I would see something, and a lot of it is asking questions, because the good thing is, what I always admired with the toy photography community is that they're always so willing to help each other. So you would see somebody take a cool photo and say, hey, how did you do that? And they would say, and now behind the scenes stuff is a lot more popular than it used to be. Now people putting out is routine that people would show you the behind the scenes. Before that, I could not figure out how people did a lot of the stuff that they did. So getting those figures up in the sky, I used to be like, okay, should I throw it up and try to snap the photo really quickly? It was terrible, but now I learned about flight stands and, eventually.
That's amazing.
But but all my photography, I have a couple of friends who do photography for a living. And I, kind of saw them also. That's why I learned the basics of the camera, the ISO and the aperture and all these things. That's how I learned about those things. And then it was a lot of trial and error and just playing around. But YouTube was my teacher.
Definitely.
Yeah, I could confident. And I learned Lightroom and Photoshop. I did a small, very one-day course on Lightroom from another photographer, but short of that, YouTube.
No, it's an amazing tool, and I feel some people need to get on it, because there is so much behind the scenes and so much things that when I first started doing art videos on YouTube, I didn't realize how much it will help others. But then the feedback I got, when I asked people about video editing and what did you use, and I do a bit of photography myself. My background has a bit of photography, but then there's some amazing stuff that people were doing. And the response was amazing to see this community tell you how to do it and understand it. I genuinely still love photography now. I know my artwork takes over more, but a lot of people helped me when it came to video editing. Again, I learned that off YouTube as well. So we've got I've seen a great community of creators out there that help us.
Yeah, I love it. I love the fact that the community is so encouraging that people just want everybody else to learn and be good and improve. That's right. Is especially with toy. I love the fact that the toy photography community always cheering each other on and kind of featuring each other's work, and is amazing. It's just is a really amazing community to be a part of, and I'm so happy that I stumbled across it, because honestly, in Trinidad, people collect toys. I mean, yes, there is a community of people that collect. Definitely not like you guys. Well, people would collect in the US or even abroad, where you can walk into a store, because we can't. Our toy stores in Trinidad do not carry toys like these, right? We don't have Targets, we don't have a Walmart. I can't just walk in and buy these toys,
Yeah.
But we do have a huge collecting community.
Cool.
But like learning from YouTube and all these things is just phenomenal, and being part of that international community and making these connections, it's amazing.
That's awesome. That's absolutely awesome. That's it is a great feature that we get the chance to. I mean, I'd never have been able to do this with you if I didn't jump on TikTok and see the amount of work and people I've met. So it, as I say, for creators, it's absolutely amazing. And again, you're right. Back in the early 2000s, it was really hard to get. We had comic book shops. We didn't have many like collectible toys. It's only later on that we got some of them coming in, but the prices were so expensive for imports. Yeah. And then it was like, my brother moved to Hong Kong and I was like, oh my God, you are in it now. So as soon as I visited him, I remember I came back with a luggage full of collectibles, all hot toys and things like that. I threw away my clothes. I threw away my clothes. I don't need these clothes. All I want is these collectibles.
We do not need clothes. Clothing is optional.
Exactly.
Wrong podcast.
What was so when did you start getting into comics and things like that?
Honestly, I've read comics. Probably one of the first comics I read was Batman Hush. So I'll be honest with you. So I mean, I grew up in a Trinidadian Indian household, right? So we are like an Indian household on steroids. That's our Trini. So my literally, I do not fault my mother. I read a lot, and I always enjoyed looking at comic books and like looking at, oh my God, look at the artwork and all these things. And my mom would look at me and say, I am not paying all that money for this thing that you're gonna read out in an hour or less, depending, because I would read it fast. I would read, those Nancy Drew books in like one day, and I would read it out, and my mom would be like, hey, slow down. I cannot afford it. I cannot afford to keep. So things like action figures and comic books, like I always liked them, but it wasn't accessible. So because the price, in Trinidad, it would just be like exorbitant. Hey, sorry about that.
That's all right. That's okay.
Oh, we get calls randomly, even though we're not on call. Like little issues to sort out. So yeah.
No, I totally understand.
And I work last night, so that's why I still got a call. I finish work. We work at 24 hours now, so I finish 8 a.m. to 8 a.m. the next day. So it's 8:30 now. So I think they still taught well, little, extra call.
That's all right. That's fine. So where was we?
Right. Oh, you have to help me with that one. I got very distracted with the call.
That's all right. That's fine. So
we were talking about comics. You asked me what was my first comic. Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, the first comic I did read was Batman Hush, and it blew my mind, right? So I think that's why I love anything Jim Lee, like any kind of Jim Lee artwork, and Jim Lee Batman especially. I think I always like his style of drawing Batman and everything. So after that, that's when I got into the Killing Joke, and so most of my comics that I have are actually Batman comics, and I really do enjoy reading it. I've read a couple others now, so ever so often I get my hands on some more comics, and I'm trying to get myself more educated in comics, I should say. But yeah, I have been reading comics, but it's been mostly Batman, to be honest with you.
No, he's a great character, very cool character. I think Jim Lee really brings a good presence to the way he draws him as a character. I mean, I was a big fan of the X-Men comics, so seeing Jim Lee move to Marvel and come to DC, and then the way he does Batman and his characters is it just looks amazing. Like,
yes,
I was very lucky enough to meet him at the Birds of Prey premiere. And
very
it was
awesome.
A really, really geek out moment for me, because my friend was there and he was like, oh, Jim Lee's here. And I didn't hear him because he was a couple of seats behind me. And I was like, I don't know what you're saying. And then he met me after the film and said, Jim Lee is here. And I'm like, what? And luckily he was just around and he was talking to fans. And then I went up to him and I was like, I didn't even know what to say, to be honest. I as an artist myself and being privileged by his artwork, I had a moment of kind of a bit emotional, because that's probably the for me was the one person in this time in my lifetime. If I meet anybody, it needs to be Jim Lee.
Yeah, I would love to just meet him, but I think I might just be like, I love your work. You are really awesome. Like, I think that might just be all I'll be able to say. So
yeah, no,
I probably should collect myself before, I'll plan in case I ever meet him. I'll approach him,
Yeah, no, same. I said the same thing, your work's been inspiring. Thank you for he does YouTube tutorials that he did with somebody else, and it really helped me to get back into art again. So it was really just to say thank you, really. And then I kind of froze after that. And then, that was amazing. Absolutely amazing to meet Jim Lee. That was just absolutely nuts. But
I am jealous. I must say, I am jealous.
Don't worry. The universe works in amazing ways. And for me personally, it's something that's never crossed my mind. But now I write a list of like what's going to happen this year, what I'm going to do, how I do it, how I plan it.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
So it's like visualization. I always look at it. So I've got a board here. I look at this board every morning.
The vision board.
The vision board,
right.
So, but some things just happened. Like that happened by mistake. I never had his name down on the list. That happened by mistake. So pure chance, not mistake. Pure chance that happened. So I was lucky enough to experience that. But what I was, yeah, exactly that. So you're a big Batman fan. What did you think of the movie?
I loved it. I know you did. I absolutely loved it. You see, so in Trinidad, like, okay, we have, you have two segments of people. You have people who, as usual, people who geek out and, know the comics and know Batman and, really. And then you have people who watch the movie because it's a movie and well, that wasn't good, but I loved it. I really appreciated everything about it. Like, I think I was talking about it yesterday self, and I was telling somebody, I was like, I don't think people understand that this is actually Bruce Wayne. Like the initial, like, it is not just the physical aspect of it, like Dark Knight. Like Dark Knight focus, okay, I lifted weights, I got strong, I did karate. But this actually showed you the mental aspect. And what I liked about it is that they actually showed you him losing himself to Batman. Like he and that happens. Everybody, when they get into something, and worse yet, if they get into fighting crime and vengeance, you're gonna lose piece of yourself. And he got obsessed. And I love the fact that they focus so much on the fact that his mental health, you could see that he was being affected.
That's right.
He wasn't sleeping. The person closest to him was very concerned, as opposed to the other movies where Alfred was like, what do you need, Master Wayne? But here he was like, Bruce, what we're doing, like, I am concerned about you, like, what we're doing. You could see, yes, Alfred trained him, but they hinted to it. But I mean, at the end of the day, like, you could see Bruce being just a young, angry male, and he just kind of lost himself with no guidance whatsoever. And it was good. And then you could see where, like, I like the fact that with Selena Kyle, like, she came in and you could see she trying to bring out the love in him, and he interested, but he's still there like, hey, vengeance, I need to do my vengeance, So I liked it. And I know people say it was slow paced, but I think a lot of people went into the movie thinking it was a typical superhero Marvel,
that's right. Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. This took time to build a universe, essentially,
That's right.
An entire universe, and it set groundwork for, I mean, look at the amount of spin-off series that potentially coming from this,
Of course.
Literally, we want to know every single part of that universe. I want to know about Penguin. I want to know about what happened to Selena. I want to know everything, just everything. So
that's right.
It is great. I loved it. And
awesome.
I love the fact that it took so much effort to do it, like, to make it this way. And they didn't care what anybody thought. They did it right.
No, of course. So one of my great things of this year was getting to interview the producer, Dylan Clark and Matt Reeves. And like, I'm a big fan of Nirvana, and I asked them what was the background in that, because it was like, you put Nirvana, like he was listening to Nirvana because he put the volume down. So you're like, what made you do that? Like, what was it? And he was like, I was writing the script and I was listening to Nirvana in the background, and it fitted perfectly. And I was like, it was the best way to kind of ground a character, because we all listen to music, and the fact that we got to see that, I was like, oh my God, that's so amazing. But the groundwork to build that universe, their process was amazing. I'm glad they took their time on this film, because having to see Batman in his detective mode was probably one of the best things ever. Definitely. Because we've never got it in any of the films. They showed a little bit in Dark Knight Rises with Christian Bale, but they didn't, and maybe a little bit in the Dark Knight, but they didn't really show more.
It had a very comic feel to it. You know, you could literally see it like if it came straight out of the comic books, and I like that they took the time to do that, and they made it different from all the other Batman movies and all the other superhero movies for that matter. You know, so it was great. Yeah.
No, definitely. I just feel like we are in great times where we get to see all of this stuff come together now, and it's really rewarding for fans like us that really love the content. We love the comic books, and you know, I respect everything that's come before, but to get something a bit more of a fresh take, that really got to me, that like emotionally, because I was like, finally we get to see something like this. It was refreshing, and I didn't feel like 3 hours.
Well, like I said in a lot of things, I grew up watching Indian movies. That did not bother me at all.
Bollywood guys.
What to do. Hello.
Bollywood preps you for these movies. Bollywood
preps you for life. I am sorry. I was accustomed to it. I was just there like, cool, let's go. Cautious.
Oh, brilliant. Are you working on any current projects at the moment that you can speak about, or you're is it secret?
No. My toy photography, like, honestly, is just like, okay, I would literally sit here by my desk and stare at the characters and be like, what do I want to do, you know? But I haven't done any big projects. I think because of my time constraints with work, I do have a fixed schedule per se. So I can't commit to, well, you know, the scheduling. To try to commit to do something and sit down is like it's so difficult. But unfortunately, nothing big coming up right now. I just kind of doing myself and just enjoying myself and trying to build my TikTok and all that.
That's good.
I really enjoy TikTok because, to be honest, this is one of the few times like Trinidadians. So in Trinidad, people don't really know too much or anything per se about toy photography. You know, people know that, people collect these little action figures, you know. But as to doing photography, doing special effects and all that, people don't know much about it. That's right now, I think because TikTok actually allowing me to share my work with a Trinidadian audience, I am just trying to get people to know my work and be like, hey, there's a toy photographer in Trinidad. You know,
awesome.
I am probably one of the few people I could confidently say that do toy photography almost every day of my life. Like I would, even if it's just, you know, posing my figures in prep for, you know, our next shot.
Yeah.
You know, so I could confidently say that I'm the one who does this in Trinidad. So I kind of want to inspire more people to do it, because it's a very good way to stay creative and, you know, burn out some extra energy or mental energy that you have going on, you know. So that's pretty much my drive right now, building up on TikTok and trying to get more people involved in toy photography and all that, and collecting and all that. So
that's amazing, because you're passionate about like the way you process it, because it's very hard to schedule family, work, life. Trying to fit everything around it is very messy at times. But the fact that you're still doing it and you're still pushing it out is inspiring, and people that do want to get into it need to know that it can be done. It's just where you can fit it in basically in the day.
It is fitting it in. For a large proportion of the time, my toy photography was done at night when my son was asleep. Like not intentionally, but just because that's the only time I had.
Yeah.
So that's how I started doing, you know, indoor shoots and trying. Now because we don't have too many dioramas, it is not accessible. Anything I have to get in Trinidad, I need to order online. I need to, you know, actually go online and find somebody and order it and bring it in, and that's just cost, right? So now we starting to, like, you know, are trying to get some dioramas and have the setups and all these things. So But other than that, I try to do my shoots with natural, a lot of natural backgrounds and
that's
stuff,
right.
So I would walk with my figures. I would actually walk with my figures in work. Thankfully, I where I work, it actually has a lot of grass and a lot of, So it works well. And I just try to squeeze in my toy photography wherever I could, whenever I could, and just get some content. And well, now with TikTok, I actually have to try to make some video to go with the toy photography. So I've been adding to my workload, so to speak, but it's been good and I have been enjoying it. I think TikTok made it a little bit more fun, just interacting with people a little bit more, because Instagram has been, I don't know, it kind of dying out almost in a way. I don't want to say dead, but it just isn't the same.
No.
And yeah. So now, like, your audience reach, like TikTok actually getting you new people, and it's good. I enjoy it.
No, of course, that's right.
New ways to be creative. Yeah.
Of course. I've noticed that as well. And I work in the marketing department in the company I work for. So social media does play a big part, but most of these social media networks are slowly dying out. People like myself, I don't use Facebook. I keep Instagram there just to repeat what I've done on TikTok on there.
Right.
And you just want to make it easy. It's sometimes hard to work on 4 or 5 different platforms.
Yes.
It's hard enough trying to survive in the world. So I don't want an extra thing to do. So trying to make it easy. And I think TikTok still has a year or two for any content creator to grow on, as long as the stuff connects to people. I mean, to be honest, I've never been a numbers person, but the growth on TikTok and how quick it happens is amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
The same. Yeah. I on my Instagram, I think I just crossed like 3,000 and like a little bit over 3,000. And I've been on Instagram for about 5 years, right? It's probably about 5 years. I joined TikTok last year, and this was just on a whim. I didn't, like in Trinidad, TikTok, it just starting to kind of catch on. We always a couple months, behind, right? And I've already hit about 2,500. I definitely crossed 2,500 followers on TikTok. And it is pretty cool because it's not toy photographers alone. Instagram is mostly the toy photography community, but TikTok actually have a lot of my followers are just regular people, which is what I like. I like the fact that it's normal, not just collectors, other collectors looking at your work. I love the fact that people who not interested even, or didn't even think they were interested. I've had a couple nurses, and I'm a consultant in ICU, right? And I've had a couple nurses come and say, "Hey, I saw your videos on TikTok," and it's like, I didn't know you do those toy things. And
yes, okay. That's awesome. No, it's good. It's amazing because it's how you transcend to others, the way I see it. And the way people see it, because I grew up with a strict Muslim background. My family didn't understand why I loved art and comic books so much. And I'm like, hold up. My uncle introduced me to this. My uncle gave me my first comic book. My uncle taught me to draw. That's my dad's youngest brother. So we grew up like we found out the other day, he's only 7 years older than me. So he's like my older brother. So I learned a lot from him. And then creative side as well. I know my mum has creative side as well, and my dad does, but they're so strict. They don't want to say it. Bless them. They're so strict. They just couldn't understand it. But only in the past 10 years, they were like, "Oh my God, he's actually really good at what he does." And I'm like, "You guys are so late."
Well, right. That's my mom, right? So Indian household, so my the whole thought process, you have to be a doctor, you have to be a lawyer. We are so cliche, but so I did it. I became a doctor, and I enjoy my job. Don't get me wrong. I love being able to help people, and I love being able to reach out to people and have this access to people's lives almost in a way. But now I heard my mom recently tell him she's like, my mom is a teacher, and my mom said, a couple of the teachers in my school, they see a little toy things. Yeah. She was like, but they're nice, I haven't gotten my mom to the point where she would willingly buy me a toy, but for my birthday this year, like, what? I doubt. For my birthday this year, my husband bought me like 3 action figures, and my mom just there watching And she watched me. Reisha, when are you going to stop with them things? and my poor husband there, my poor husband there, like, Mom, that cost as much as like jewelry, you know. It actually cost as much as jewelry. And she's like, Reisha, when are you going to stop with them? And I said, it's like, I'm never gonna stop. And I think my poor mom and my sister too, like, who not into these things, they just watch me and be like, oh dear Lord, because I think I get nerdier as time goes on.
We were talking about family and how hard they find it with our geekiness and our nerdiness. My dad always tells me, why are you still wearing superhero t-shirts? You're like 40 years old. And I'm like, this is never going to change. It's stuck with us now. I adore it. I love it.
Yeah. Well, I think I have gotten, and worse yet with COVID and everything and not going anywhere, I have started living in t-shirts, and my t-shirt collection is it's getting quite extensive. But the good thing is, my sister is rather supportive. So normally she buys me, very floral shirts and, tries to get me out of these. And then this year, so she bought me a Deadpool and a Link t-shirt. So I was like, oh, nice. She's like, I give up. I just give up with you. So,
why not? Why not?
As a win. I consider as a win.
Of course it is. Of course it is. Definitely a win. Definitely a win. Is there any major movies this year that you're excited to see?
I think I just was hyped over Batman and Spider-Man. That was my two favorites.
That's right.
I was just extremely hyped over that. And now I'm just kind of taking it as it comes out. You have any that you're excited to see? I'm not too keen on Morbius. I'll watch it, but I'm not.
You know what? It's a good watch, but it's not. It's difficult with movies because I know the amount of hard work that goes into this, but I just want to know who makes the decision on some things. You're like,
my friends always joke. One of my friends, my best friend actually, she always jokes and says that she's like, don't listen to Reisha's advice on superhero movies. Reisha loves all. No matter how crappy it is, Reisha will go. And because with me, I just happy to see the characters on screen.
That's right.
And existing in this universe. And I think I'll just be happy. It'll take a really, really bad movie to make me upset about it.
Listen, it's like this.
It has to be terrible for me to get upset about it, and it's like, I like it.
I'm the same. Look, we go back to the beginning of when all of this started. I think Blade was the one that started it off. And I love that movie to bits. But even when it came to movies like Ben Affleck's Daredevil, I still watch it to this day. Yeah,
it wasn't bad.
It was fine. It was fine. And and I think what's happened now is it came to a point where the directors and the writers had a lot more creative freedom to do what they wanted to do. Then you had Kevin Feige join Marvel and they blew it out of the park. Yes, and with definitely. DC, we've had some troubles. Like, I still enjoy the movies. But like Zack Snyder's Justice League is absolutely amazing. I adore that movie. I'm happy that we got that movie. We live in a time where the fans said, oh my God, what have you done to us? And we actually got this movie. But even we're lucky to get this great content. And I've always said that, like, as a kid growing up, I grew up with the cartoons and the comic books. So I was really happy with what I saw there. And I'm now going to be even more happy to see these characters on there because Morbius is part of that Spider-Man universe. I know how much he plays in that part of the universe. He's in the Blade universe. It's like, I was happy to see it on the screen as well. But there, like, my initial review of it was that the studios played too much editing on this, too much editing, and Spider-Man No Way Home. Yeah. Spider-Man No Way Home. That movie
was just Oh,
that's what caused the problems. It did. It caused the problems, but it's a great movie.
Okay. I will take, my problem is the time, as usual. Like everybody's problem, to actually go to the cinema and get a babysitter and go and sit. Like, all right, for instance, with Spider-Man. My husband knew that I would go crazy if I saw any spoilers, and he literally watched me and say, "Yeah, what? You go. I will stay home with the child. You go." I I didn't ask for any company. I didn't call any friends. I just went by myself, buy a ticket in the middle of the day, and sat down by myself and watched the movie. I take my little cry, I do my little thing. Okay. And I was happy.
That's brilliant. Yeah. That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
That is support. But yeah.
No, of course, that is, because I'm the same. I go cinema by myself. I can watch a movie. If I love it, 5-6 times. I'm coming to 6 times for Batman, and I'm still going to go back and watch it again. It's just, I think it's one of those things where we're always going to enjoy the characters that are on the screen, but we get these characters on the big screen. And I think Jared Leto played a good Morbius. Just the writing and the editing failed him. Right, but we see Morbius, It looks amazing. Like I'm a visuals guy. I've been doing comic book artwork for 30 years almost. So seeing the visuals of this character being represented was pleasing for me.
I think you just need to take it for what it is, and
exactly.
I mean, people need to realize that not every movie going to be perfect, and not all the writing not going to be brilliant, and all right, it's going to happen. But for me, I would say I might have the same type of feeling towards it as you. I'd be like, the story was, okay, like let me say it was a predictable storyline. It was predictable, but the CG was so good. So that's I would take it for, I would try to see the good to it, at least course. That's my, because a lot of work went into it, and a lot of people put their heart and soul into it, and I don't know, it's just so hard to just break something on and say that was terrible. That was just a waste of time.
No, of course.
A lot of effort was put into it, so yeah, it is what it is.
I'm the same. I always see the positive in things. Getting the content itself is just amazing.
Yes.
So that's
I
where
just like seeing the content.
Exactly that.
I love it.
I'm happy to see that. But
and I always tell my friends, like, okay, when you look back at, the old Batman and Robin, it was like, okay, looking back on it now, it was terrible, but we enjoyed it. I enjoyed it thoroughly, and you know what? I might watch it again, and I might enjoy it again. But the point is, at the time, that's what got us into all these things, looking at the Batman, looking at him on screen. I don't care if he had nipples on his suit. I don't care back then when I was a child. And that's what Morbius not made for kids, but a lot of the movies that we see, people break it down and they analyze it, and it's like, it's made for kids, right? Like, you remember that, right? Like, I understand that, Batman not the DC, but it have shows that primarily made for kids, and that, and adults looking at it and want to criticize, and it's like, if you were a child, you damn well enjoy it. And
of course,
just calm down. Yes, this was stuff from our childhood, but they're not making it for us. They're making it for them.
Exactly. It's a really good point you pull there, because I'm still a big kid. That's why I enjoy it. I still have that kid with me. That kid never left me. And I think people find that quite hard to kind of realize that. They're like, but Kibla, why? And I'm like, because I'm a kid. At heart, I'm a child. And I want to be that child and have that imagination, which we do in our creative work, because it makes us happy. It makes that inner child happy.
Yeah.
And I can even, like something like Encanto, like she absolutely adores it. But I adore it as well because of the family values it has in that movie. So it's that's the little kid in me that still, yes, I understand it as an adult, but the little kid in me loves the animation, the magic of it, the music of it. That part of me will never leave. And I think a lot of people find that hard, that we still have kids in us and they don't.
Yeah, I don't think it. Some people look at it like in a bit of a bad light, like, it's so childish, but I don't. I enjoy myself. I am thoroughly happy buying an action figure. I am thoroughly happy sitting looking at my action figure. I am sorry if that does not bring you joy, and simple things like that bring me a lot of joy.
That's right. The joys of being in parenthood and responsibilities.
Oh, trust me, if there's one thing I understand, usually if Rai was home, I'd have him crawling over me going, Who's that? Who's that boy? What's he saying? No,
Oh, bless. Cool, but I won't keep you any longer. What I was going to say is, if there was something that you would tell the listeners or somebody watching on YouTube about your process in your work to inspire them, what would it be?
What would it be? That's a tough one, boy. What would I say? With me, so toy photography, there are many different ways to do toy photography. And I think the main thing with me that I realize is that a lot of times when I started off, I kind of started off looking at other photographers and I want to be just like them and I want to do just like them and do their photos. And that starting off, that frustrated me quite a bit because I would always be like, why don't my pictures look like this? You know, why? And I would always be trying to fight up. Maybe I need to buy more expensive figures. Maybe I need to get more accessories. And I would always kind of be comparing myself to others. And it is inevitable. And it's not a bad thing. I'm not somebody who say, don't compare yourself because that's how you know you're growing. You know, when you actually look at your photos. But I think the important thing is to know what you want to do and what brings you joy. And with me, I just want to be the best I could be. And not necessarily the best toy photographer because I can't compare to what some of the brilliance of some of these people out there.
That's right.
But I could be a better version of myself, which is a very cliche thing to say, but is it truth? And then when you look, like I even did a video on it on TikTok, like when you look at the numbers and you look at how other people growth is on TikTok and this and they going viral and all these things, and it will frustrate you. And it was like for a while I was just like, okay, why nobody seeing my videos? But then I realized, you know what? Make videos and take pictures and do things that I would want to see. And if I look at my own photo and I'm impressed by my own photo, then other people are going to be impressed.
Yep.
And in a sense, so I just kind of stopped myself and I was like, all right, Reisha, just be creative, have fun, and enjoy the process and just keep trying to get better and learn new techniques. And we're in an era now where literally it is ridiculous, but information is at our fingertips. And I think it's important. You could look up on YouTube. You could reach out to other toy photographers and, you know, even other creators, because I draw, I don't want to say I draw comics because I do not draw comics like you all draw comics, but I do a kind of web comic on Instagram, but it's medical, you know?
Yeah.
I do a medical web comic on Instagram, and every single community I've made myself part of, I have kind of immersed myself and I have asked for help. And I think that's the next important thing. Reaching out to other artists, other photographers and all these things, just asking, hey, how you did that? Or what do you call that technique? You know, and you can look it up. And you could don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to compare yourself to others, but don't get too caught up comparing yourself to others.
That's right.
You need to know a benchmark. You need to know what's good, what's bad. But at the same time, you need to know what you're capable of and try to do the best that you could do. So I think, you know, just keep an eye in the back of your mind, I think is important. I'm not sure if I answered your question properly, but that's...
No, you did. That's absolutely amazing. And what you said there is something that I relate to myself. You know, I've done that plenty of times. I've looked at numbers, views, and the rest of it. Yeah. And then I thought, you know what? Why don't I just make content for myself?
Yeah, that was me, because even with my TikTok, at one point I was getting not frustrated, but kind of like, oh, okay, it's just, I don't think people looking at my TikToks and I don't think people care. And then I started realizing, like, okay, the 1 or 2 videos that I made with, you know, silly things like, okay, it's like, hey, go check this movie out. People looking at it and people actually commenting, hey, Reisha, I actually checked the movie out because you recommended it. And I was like, oh, okay. So now I'm trying to like diversify a little bit more. And, you know, that's why I have little segments with how to nerd and, you know, just talking to Trinidadians, because a lot of people don't know about the pop culture in Trinidad almost, you know, and what we have in Trinidad. And a lot of people think everything is just online, but, you know, I'm trying to get people educated. So that's my drive now, to kind of build a community, a nerd community.
Nice.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now with my work.
Awesome.
And,
no, that's great. That's great. I think a lot of people relate to that. And as you said, you don't focus on numbers or things like that. you just want to give information out to people and making sure that they're enjoying themselves. I think that's the main message there, is that we're going to compare. As people, as human beings, we do that, but taking it to a level to, you know, as you said, you're enjoying the post that you do. And if you're enjoying that, who's not going to enjoy that? Because yes, everybody's going to go through different things of how they're going to represent themselves when it comes to going, because going on social media is a brave thing.
I've had a lot of people tell me that, because I have a lot of friends who would say, well, no, I'm not going to, I'm not like you. I can't do videos and talk to, and I've told them, I am not this person. I never used to be.
Yeah.
It happened because I've had people say, well, I'm not really confident. And when you're young, like when I was younger, I was very confident. I would go and, you know, do competitions and go on stage and read and play music on stage. And I didn't give a damn. I was good, like as far as I was concerned. I'm the best there is. And then like in your teenage years, you just kind of lose that confidence when you realize, oh, I'm not the best there is. There are lots of people who are far more confident, far more capable, speak better, play music better. And then you realize, well, okay, I'm not that good. But now is kind of, I think now we're in a era where you don't have to be the best, and people, they're happy to indulge in your content. They're happy to encourage you. They're happy to listen to your crap. Like you don't have to be an expert in movies to talk more movies now.
No.
And I think it's amazing. Like I try telling my friends, well, people, and anybody who talk to me who say I can't do videos, I can't do this, and say, honestly, neither can I. But I just doing it. Like I don't care. I just doing it, and I just having fun. And eventually, you know, and I think what's inspiring, I think with TikTok is like, all right, like how they use your review for the posters with Batman and thing. And I was like, I showed my husband, I was like, check this out. It's literally like somebody from TikTok. And he was like, that's kind of cool. And, you know, the fact that, you know, Straw Hat Goofy get to go to the Oscars.
Yeah.
I was like, this is a guy on TikTok. Like, he's not famous. This is somebody who, you know, like they're not even in news. They're not even in media in a sense. And this is a regular person. And, you know, I just think it's amazing the opportunities that people get in, and the fact that you get to interview people, you know, Matt Reeves, and it's amazing, you know, with social media. That,
it's powerful.
You know, you could be in, it is. And you can say what you
powerful.
want, but it is amazing the fact that we could connect. All right, I'm in Trinidad, you in the UK. Years ago, we would have never known each other, spoken to each other, any kind of interaction, and now we could do a podcast together and just be, you know, it's amazing what we could do and the connections that we can make now. So, you know, next time I come to the UK, I come in to check here, you know, but
no, of course,
it's cool.
Of course.
It is amazing what we have now. And I think people need to appreciate that. A lot of people bash social media and say that, you know, oh, it's so harmful, but it's only harmful if you let it be.
Of course, that's exactly that. If you let it be harmful, and you're not using it in a positive way to send out a positive message, it's very difficult. And I can understand the backlash that it gets. But for me, myself, I post whatever I need to. I respond to whoever I need to. But I know my main focus is this little one here. And whatever I do now is what I leave back for her. So like, even for me to have my name on a billboard is
That's absolutely amazing.
I'm not an expert in movies. I just love the content. I'm not an expert in movies.
Which is why when I posted and I told you, I am legitimately proud. Like when I see that, it's like, and I'm even proud because you're like my best friend, or it's just like, hey, it's one of us who did this, you know. It's not this stush, like this kind of snotty kind of, oh, well, it's a good movie. You know, it's literally a nerd just like us who you're just doing yourself, you're just enjoying yourself.
Yeah.
And look at where you could go. And I mean, I think that in itself is just like, it's so inspiring. I mean, yes, most people will not make a viral show, and they wouldn't make a viral TikTok. They wouldn't go viral, get a name on a billboard. But people see your work that would have never seen your work before. And people, I've had kids, well, you know, I've had people message me, and like I've done a couple TikTok lives, and some people come on and go, oh my God, I can't believe I'm on live with you. I was like, why? and you know, people actually excited to reach out to us, excited when you reply, and it's like, I'm not really a big TikToker or popular or anything. Nobody really
right.
know me, but these people are excited about it, and it's inspiring, you know, like
of course
the connections.
Definitely it's just an inspiring moment, and it's great to connect with the people that I've connected with. And it's funny because now I'm getting to meet a lot more TikTokers and people that I know across like 80s collection baby who lives in the States on the east side. We had a podcast as well. I'm waiting to get Chris on the show. I've had Sam on the show so far, so we're like, I'm getting to know a lot more people. And then when I was at the Morbius premiere, I got to meet a couple of other TikTokers that came up to me and said, "Oh man, I love your content, man. How did you get your name on the Batman thing?" And I'm like, I didn't do that. That was Warner Brothers. You know, I was lucky enough to see the movie before it came out, and they used my review. And my review was like, there wasn't many words. I'm not good with words. Like, I could talk about it, but they used the couple of words that I did say, and it was like you guys could have gave me warning, because, you know, for me, that, you know, it brought a tear to my eye, because it was like, as you said, I'm a fan of this stuff.
Yeah.
And like, for the past 30 years that I've gone through when it came to bullying at school or not knowing how to read, but comics helped me learn to read. To come to a point where I share a billboard with the Riddler as well, because it was funny in school days. My MC name when I used to do rap was Kibler the Riddler. So the universe is such a great way that when they did the billboard, I didn't notice because I was excited. My name was on the billboard. My brother from Singapore said, "I can't believe they put you next to the Riddler." And I was like, "Oh my God, oh yes, you're right." And because he was like, "Your name, Kibler the Riddler." And I was like, I pulled out all of these photos of me, because I used to be a big fan of Jim Carrey's Riddler from Batman Forever. And
that was a good Riddler.
I used, all my New Era caps had the question mark. I had t-shirts with question marks. That's all I wore was question marks, thinking I was the MC version of the Riddler. And, you know, 20 years down the line, for that to happen is a weird manifestation of, as a fan, you know, I couldn't be truly blessed. Like, I'm blessed totally, but definitely. I'm no professional or expert in that industry. I just love the content.
Which I think people appreciate now. People appreciate, I think more than ever, people just like them doing things. Which, that's right. You know, I think when things now started YouTube, everybody wants to know, are you an expert? Are you the best at what you have? Because I don't want to listen to you if you're not the best at what you are. But now it's kind of like, all right, let's grow together. You learning, I learning. So we go, you know, so it's great.
No.
I think I'm just happy with how things go these days, you know. But you will get the trolls, but you know, whatever.
Oh yeah. That's standard, and I'm getting used to that. But everybody's fighting a battle, and there's only so much I can say. You know, mental health is a serious thing, and I think coming out of COVID, it's a hard one. We all suffer it in different ways. So I don't call anybody out. Reisha.
Yeah.
Where can the fellow listeners find you? Social media. This is your social media plugin.
I am on TikTok, TriniphoTOYgraper, and Instagram. That's it for now. Haven't braved the YouTube aspect of it, but really just TikTok and Instagram. Same name, TriniphoTOYgraper. You can definitely check my stuff out.
I'll put it in the link below, guys. So make sure you check out the description. Go follow her. Her work is absolutely amazing. I'm a big fan of it. I still love the Batman car thing you did. That was so cool. And it's amazing. So guys, make sure you go check her work out. It's absolutely amazing. Go give her a follow. Massive thank you to everybody that listens into the podcast. All I can say is I'm blessed and thankful that people listening. We stream on all platforms, guys. I'm not going to say all the names now. We stream on all platforms, guys, but make sure you follow us on social media. Our links are below as well, to keep updated on what we're up to. And Reisha, massive thank you for coming onto the show. Like,
thank you for having me.
Apologies, and thank you for your patience while I dealt with all the madness going around.
Same here.
But awesome. Hope to get you back on the show again one day. We could talk more geek out. We could pick a subject and we can tear it apart in our nerdy ways.
We could do that.
That'd be awesome. That would be awesome. But have a wonderful day where you are. And I'll catch you up soon.
Bye, little one.
Lara.